My parents wanted me to drop out of college to support their entitled son at our family restaurant. When I refused, they cut me off financially, so I moved out and severed all ties. I'm a 24-year-old man in my third year of college, majoring in a field I genuinely enjoy. Growing up in the coastal town of Westbrook, my parents operated a popular seafood restaurant along the boardwalk. The establishment, Ocean's Harvest, wasn't particularly fancy, but it provided a comfortable living. My mother and father constantly reminded me of the long hours they invested, frequently hinting that they hoped I would someday take ownership. I never felt drawn to the restaurant business. I helped occasionally, taking orders or preparing simple dishes for extra spending money, a basic family duty, nothing more. My younger brother Alex, who's 22, has always been the family favorite. For as long as I can remember, my parents pampered him. They excused him from responsibilities while I worked, bought him expensive gifts for minimal achievements, and rarely disciplined him. Whenever I questioned this unequal treatment, my father would dismiss my concerns, claiming Alex needed additional encouragement to succeed. Though this reasoning seemed flawed, I kept focused on my studies, working diligently on assignments and projects. Everything changed dramatically during winter break. I returned home from college for a weekend visit, expecting a normal family gathering. Instead, my parents summoned me to a serious discussion in the dining room. Alex sat in the corner, scrolling through social media, visibly disinterested in the conversation. My mother broke the silence. "We've decided it's time for you to take responsibility at Ocean's Harvest. We want you to leave college." I stared in disbelief, certain they were joking. My father continued, "Alex will assist eventually, but he's not prepared yet. We need someone dependable immediately." Stunned, I asked why they wanted me to abandon my studies when I was excelling in my program. My mother explained that Alex lacked motivation and needed more time for self-discovery. Meanwhile, the restaurant was understaffed, and they refused to hire additional employees. They believed that as the older son, I should sacrifice my ambitions for the family's needs. I reminded them that I was halfway through my degree program with career aspirations beyond the restaurant. My father dismissed my concerns with a wave of his hand. "The family business takes priority. You can return to your education later, perhaps." A sense of dread washed over me. I had worked tirelessly to earn my place at college, financing my education through a combination of scholarships and support from my parents. The suggestion of abandoning everything so Alex could continue his idle lifestyle seemed preposterous. My father's tone hardened. "This discussion is over. Either you help run the restaurant full-time, or you're on your own." I looked at my mother, hoping for any sign of understanding. She merely nodded in agreement with my father. Alex smirked subtly, apparently amused by my predicament. It felt as though they had planned this confrontation meticulously. Taking a deep breath, I calmly stated, "I won't abandon my education." My father's expression darkened as my mother attempted to manipulate me emotionally. "We've sacrificed so much for your education. Now it's your turn to give back." She emphasized how the restaurant had always sustained our family and how they expected me to continue the legacy. Their arguments failed to persuade me. "I will not leave college," I repeated firmly. My father's face flushed with anger. "Then we're cutting you off completely. No more tuition assistance, no living expenses. Figure it out yourself if you insist on defying us." My world crumbled. They knew I couldn't easily cover my remaining educational expenses independently, but I refused to surrender to such an unreasonable demand. "Fine," I managed to say, my voice trembling slightly. Then I stood and left the house, ignoring Alex's satisfied chuckle as I departed. I spent that night at a friend's apartment, my mind racing as I contemplated how to preserve my education without my parents' financial support. Even then, I couldn't anticipate how drastically the situation would escalate, or that I would ultimately remove them from my life entirely. The following morning, my phone flooded with messages from my parents. My father's texts were terse. "We're serious. If you don't comply, you're on your own." My mother wrote, "We gave you everything. Why can't you help us now? Alex needs freedom to discover himself." Alex remained silent, likely enjoying another gift from my parents. Anxiety overwhelmed me as I realized I needed a plan to cover my tuition. The initial payment for this semester was complete, but future installments wouldn't be. I also had rent for my small apartment near campus, which my parents had partially subsidized. My part-time job at a local store barely covered groceries and textbooks. That same day, I returned to gather my belongings, uncertain whether I'd be welcome to stay there. The atmosphere was tense when I arrived. My mother asked if I had reconsidered. I gently but firmly repeated my decision not to leave college. She frowned, brandishing the restaurant's financial records as evidence. "Look, we're understaffed. Your father and I can't manage alone." "Alex, well, you know he's not dependable." I suggested hiring additional help. She dismissed the idea, complaining about expenses. This seemed illogical. They could pay me if they wanted, so paying another employee shouldn't differ unless they expected me to work for minimal compensation. My father entered, pointing accusingly. "You owe us. We raised you, provided for you. Now it's your turn to reciprocate." He listed all the resources they had invested in me, ignoring that I never asked them to operate the restaurant that way or to indulge Alex excessively. Those were their choices and didn't justify sabotaging my future. Alex emerged from his room, headphones around his neck. "So, are you going to do the right thing and quit school?" The arrogance in his tone infuriated me. I challenged him. "Why don't you help if the restaurant needs assistance?" He rolled his eyes. "I'm not meant for menial work. I have greater aspirations." The hypocrisy was astounding. He was only 2 years younger than me, yet they treated him like a helpless child. Tired of the hostility, I began collecting my belongings, clothes, textbooks, and essential items. My mother hovered nearby, tearfully calling me ungrateful, while my father muttered about how I'd eventually regret my decision. As I packed my bags, my father threatened, "If you leave now, don't return. We're finished supporting you financially. Your phone plan, rent, everything." My heart raced, but I remained determined. "I'll figure it out," I asserted, trying to sound more confident than I felt. With one final glare from my father and a triumphant smile from Alex, I carried my bags to my car and drove away, no longer having a place to call home. I temporarily stayed with a friend from college. As promised, my parents canceled my phone service the next day. I quickly switched to an affordable prepaid plan. My bank account showed numerous reversed payments for rent. Apparently, my mother had access to my autopay details. I hurried to update everything. The harsh reality became clear. I was truly independent with limited savings, half a semester's tuition outstanding, and no family support. Though panic set in, it also motivated me. I visited the college's financial aid office, explained my circumstances, and an advisor compassionately suggested applying for emergency assistance or a small personal loan. While it wouldn't cover everything, it might help bridge the gap. I also asked my manager at the local store if additional hours were available. He hesitated but eventually offered a few more shifts. It wasn't ideal, but it provided essential income. Despite this upheaval, messages from my parents continued through social media after my phone number changed. My father insisted, "We still expect you to come to your senses. The offer remains. Leave college, help the restaurant, and we'll restore everything." My mother sent guilt-laden messages about destroying the family, claiming Alex was fragile and needed me to shoulder the burden. None of this changed my mind. Instead, I realized how extensively they had pampered him for years, expecting me to compensate for his shortcomings. Alex sent one mocking message, ridiculing me for playing the victim, and calling me foolish for refusing an easy path. The irony was incredible. He was the one unwilling to assist with the family business. Eventually, I discovered that several extended family members had heard a distorted version of events. My father told them I had abandoned the restaurant to pursue a frivolous degree, leaving them struggling. Some relatives admonished me, urging me to be more responsible. I tried explaining that my parents wanted me to rescue my irresponsible brother so he could continue his carefree existence. Some believed me, others didn't. The stress was immense, but I persevered. Balancing college classes, increased work hours, and managing finances was challenging yet strangely liberating. For the first time, I controlled my destiny. No father issuing commands, no mother manipulating me to accommodate Alex. Though physically and mentally exhausted, I felt a new independence emerging. As the semester progressed, I heard from a friend who occasionally visited Ocean's Harvest that Alex rarely appeared at the restaurant. My parents were frantically handling all tasks themselves, complaining about betrayal. My friend mentioned that customers noticed the tension, and the atmosphere had deteriorated. I felt momentary sympathy. My parents were struggling, but they had created this situation. They had pinned all their hopes on me abandoning my dreams, and now the business was suffering because their favorite refused to contribute. Meanwhile, I focused intensely on my studies, determined to succeed independently. My landlord was surprisingly understanding when I explained I would pay rent slightly late due to my changed circumstances. I avoided drama and concentrated on daily tasks, completing assignments, studying for exams, working extra shifts. It wasn't easy. Some nights I lay awake, angry about how quickly my parents had turned against me. But each day strengthened my resolve. I refused to yield to their manipulative demands. Gradually, I established a new routine. My friend's couch became a short-term arrangement. Then another student offered an affordable room to rent. I scraped together enough money for the deposit. Step by step, I forged a path independent of my family, and though the pain of betrayal lingered, part of me felt proud. Near semester's end, I received an unexpected call from my mother using an unfamiliar number. I answered hesitantly. She sounded tired, less confrontational but still attempting to make me feel guilty. She admitted the restaurant was struggling, that Alex never contributed, and they were close to bankruptcy. She pleaded for my return, not with an apology but with the same argument. "He's your brother. You must help him." She ignored how they had abandoned my education and cut my financial support, instead portraying me as the potential savior. "This is your opportunity to make amends," she suggested, as though I had wronged them. I exhaled, anger resurfacing. "You forced me out, canceled my support, tried to make me abandon my education. Now that Alex isn't helping, you want me to fix everything?" She stammered about family loyalty and tradition, claiming I owed them for raising me. Though I felt momentary sadness for her, the betrayal was too profound. I calmly stated I wouldn't return to the restaurant or household. "I'm completing my degree, supporting myself. I refuse to be your backup plan," she cried, calling me ungrateful. My father's voice interrupted, accusing me of destroying the family. He repeated his previous ultimatum. "Return home, help the restaurant, or our relationship ends." With sudden clarity, I realized they would never apologize or acknowledge their wrongdoing. They simply wanted someone to sacrifice themselves to save the business. I ended the call, letting their words linger unaddressed. That evening, I decided to completely sever contact. I blocked their numbers, removed them from social media, and informed interfering relatives that the subject was closed. It seemed extreme, but each interaction only reopened wounds. I harbored no illusions that they would soon recognize their error. Perhaps they never would. Since then, I've maintained my academic standing, continued working part-time, and though challenging, I'm on track to graduate. Without the constant emotional burden of my parents' demands, I'm actually flourishing academically. Occasionally, I hear through mutual connections that Ocean's harvest is nearly closing, that Alex abandoned it entirely. While I take no pleasure in seeing my parents' livelihood fail, I don't regret standing firm. They staked everything on me leaving school, disregarding my aspirations and future. It hurts to remember how quickly they turned against me when I refused to be their solution. But strangely, I'm grateful for the perspective. I learned that their conditional family love depended on blind compliance. Once I established my independence, they withdrew support, manipulative and cruel. So I cut them off, financially, emotionally, physically. It was the only way to protect myself from their manipulative tactics. There are moments of loneliness, certainly, but the sense of self-respect outweighs them. I share this experience because others might face similar ultimatums from entitled family members. Standing firm may be painful. You might lose financial support or endure guilt trips. But if you truly believe in your goals, you can find your way independently. My parents wanted me to sacrifice my college education for their favorite son. I refused, moved out, and ceased contact. No regrets. I'll complete my degree, maintain my dignity, and create a life that's authentically mine, free from their controlling influence. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this,